Ever wonder why your grooves and fills never sound quite right? It comes down to 5 common mistakes almost every beginner drummer makes. I've seen him fix them countless times. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what these mistakes are and give you simple, safe ways to fix them to quickly unlock smooth, fluid drumming right away. The first mistake that holds back so many drummers is that they don't have a system to truly improve their coordination and take it as far as you need to go to play on that next level. I'm going to help you guys do that. The problem I see in my students, and I know this well because I've done this so many times, is that I have avoided the stuff that just like feels off and feels difficult, and I put it off like, okay, that's a tricky one, and I'm just not going to do it right now. The real problem is both a lack of a system and also a form of avoidance, and I'm very guilty of that myself. The system is the real key, because when you have this system, then you can't avoid it, and it's very easy to, of course, systematically, step by step, just go through this list and get everything done that you need to do, and your coordination, your independence on the drums is going to skyrocket. So here's the thing. I know that I am very guilty of trying to play something like this, and when it doesn't happen, I want to know from you guys if you've done the same thing. If it doesn't happen, then I just go like, yeah, I'm going to take the shortcut. Actually, I wrote this wrong. The thing we're going to do is just right, left, and move the right hand to the snare. So far, that's pretty basic. A lot of us can do that. But what I'm guilty of for years is avoiding putting my kick drum with my left foot like this. Because when I would do that, I would stumble. It would flam. I'd be like, it would not be together. And I had to come back years later when it was so simple to know, like, I can just break that down, do it systematically for a couple of days, and it's going to be clean after that. So that right there, which is adding a kick drum to this, the if we're playing right, left, then it's, you know, the left hand plus the kick. It's a very simple way to make sure you're doing this stuff the right way, and it's going to take your drumming to the next level quickly. The fix for this is 2 things. You need, 1, an ostinato, and an ostinato is a rhythm that always stays the same. It's a rhythm that repeats, is another way to think of it, which I prefer to think of it that way. It repeats, it doesn't vary. A classic example of that would be something like Mars by Holst. That rhythm just repeats pretty much the entire piece, and it doesn't change. We're going to take a bass of an ostinato. In this case, our ostinato is going to be just right, left, but we're going to move our right hand to the snare drum. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So that's our rhythm that always stays the same. 16th notes, right, left, backbeat on the snare. We need to have this concept of an ostinato, and you can make your own up, and that's the great thing about this. And you need to combine that with a checklist. Not just any checklist, it has to be the rhythmic checklist, which is my fancy or fun name for every possible rhythm or rhythmic figure you can play within a subdivision. So in this case, we're talking about 16ths, and so the rhythmic checklist looks like this. Now, with this checklist, you can play any rhythm possible within the 16th note subdivision just by mixing and matching these. Any rhythm, any groove, any beat, by assigning these rhythms to your limbs. So if I wanted to play a clave rhythm, that's number 4 plus number 3. I'm doing this from memory because I can't see it on screen. And the rests, no, none of them. And then it just depends. So da, 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 da. So if I wanted to play a clave rhythm, that's right here. Da, 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 da. 1 E, a 2, and a 3. And a 4 E. It's all there. So you're going to take this system and practice the entire checklist with your kick drum while counting. That's the really key thing, is that you're counting more than anything else. So if we go through, I'll show you the 1 and 2 note combinations just while counting. 1 E and a 2 E and we're going to play through the whole list. And I'm going to play 4 of each pattern. You want to, if you're just starting out on this, stick on each rhythm for much longer until you get it, and you do it as slow as possible. But to play 4 of each rhythm, just 1 note and 2 note combos for now, goes like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E a 2 a 3 a 2 note combos. 1 E and a 2 and a 3 E E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E a 2 E a 3 a 4 E a 1 E and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E So, of course, do all the combos. 3 notes as well. 4 notes counts. 1 E and is a rhythm. Also, no notes is a rhythm. Drummers often forget that. Don't forget how powerful silence is in music. This is a reminder for drummers and maybe some guitarists too. The key with this is that we're going to take all of those rhythms and we're going to combine them with right, left, and we'll just forget about the backbeat for now, and we're going to use the checklist. So the checklist is now our kick foot, and right, left is going to be our ostinato. So that means the 2-note combos means the kick goes here, and then it doesn't go there, it goes on the E. And then it doesn't go on the E, it goes on the and, goes on the then you do your 2-note combos, like 1 E, etc., etc. Let's do this together real slow. Go ahead and do it with me. But I need to know from you guys, what are you struggling with on the drums so I can help you more and make the right videos for you. So let me know below in the comments. And while you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next lessons. Another thing you need to keep in mind is you do not need drums for this. So no excuses, whether you have sticks in front of you, a pad, or nothing. I want you to tap your legs, tap a table, tap your feet, and do it along with me now. We're going to keep this nice and slow. Do not forget to count while you do this. So 1 bar count in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to add the kick. 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and E and E and E and 1 E and E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and so this is with all the right hands. 3 E and 4 now with all the left hands. 1 E and 2 E and E and 3 note combos. 1 E and 2 E and E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and E and E 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and all 4 notes. 2 E and 3 E and E and don't forget this one. Possibly the most important one you could do. And stop. Okay, now the most important thing that I can tell you is to take note of how you did when playing along with me, and then you need to go back and put a magnifying glass on any rhythm that wasn't right for you. If you stumbled over 1 E and you kind of tripped over it and it flamed a little bit and you kind of messed up afterwards, then you need to take just that pattern and you need to isolate it and you need to loop it as long as it takes, as slow as it takes, perfectly with a metronome until it's perfect. That is specifically the one for me that I avoided for just way too long. 1 E and making sure that was dead on. It's just a 4-note sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's the game, is getting perfect at 3 and 4 note sequences. That's all this game is, most of drumming. If you can just do that, you're going to get through and become a pro. Sometimes we're adding a kick here, and then we just keep going and we add that snare. So that's the beat that we're going to play. It looks like this. Check it out. Okay, so at speed, it looks something like this. And then you can play around with it because you've done the entire checklist. Mistake number 2 is skipping your weaker hand. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, my weak hand sucks. My left hand, my right hand, whatever it is for you. I've been there. I hear it a million times. And the fix is surprisingly simple. So if you're feeling you're not accurate with, let's say, your left hand, if it's not up to speed, you're trying to play fast, and it keeps dragging behind like this, like it starts to fall, drag, and almost like it's a skip beat, but you're trying to play it even. I absolutely struggled with this for years, and when I learned the solution, I was ecstatic. It's simpler than you think. Let's grab the pad. Ugh. The trick isn't left lead doubles. It's not starting your paradiddles with your left hand. It's not playing left hand lead with your weaker hand on the hi-hat. The secret to fixing your weak hand is this. Simplest thing in the world, playing your right and your left hand together, and that is it. So you really want to start with one note at a time. Just one note, both right and left. You want to make sure they're perfectly lined up so that there's no flamming whatsoever. That's the really key thing here, is that you don't have any flams. So as you're practicing this, you want to play whole notes. You don't want to play 16ths, 8ths, quarters, whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And what you're looking for is you're looking to get both of your hands to be identical, completely identical in a couple of different ways. You need your grip to be identical. You want your want the stick movement to be completely identical. And also think of timing of that movement. And by timing of movement, what I mean is both the speed at which your hand or stick comes down, but also when they start coming down. So you don't want to see one come down before the other. Also, stick height, very crucial. Make sure your stick height is the same, although I have terrible handwriting, another way of doing it that doesn't involve stick height. That's a little trick I'm going to show you later. But make sure your stick height is identical. So like look and imagine that there's a little height limiter. Like if I'm right here, I want both my sticks right there. So I put my sticks together and then I take them apart an inch, and that is my starting point. Similarly, make sure you don't lift up first, because if you lift up first, then you're going to lose your reference point of this absolute starting point. If both sticks are lifting up in motion, one is going to lift up slightly more than the other, and they're not going to be perfect. So you need the same starting point, same stick height. And after all of that, you need to hit that bullseye at the exact same time with both sticks so that they do not flam whatsoever. So I do recommend a pad for this, because if you try to play a unison on your snare drum, well, it sounds like wacky. It's terrible. And a bounce is really funny. It's not like a good response from your snare drum. I wouldn't actually play a unison on just a snare drum. When you are on your kit and you're ready to move this to the kit, you want to play with your unisons on 2 different surfaces, like ride and snare drum like this. And that brings us to the next trick of this, which is to actually vary your stick height. So you're going to need this for all over the drum set, and you don't want your hands just even. You might want one hand just 1 inch off of the drum because you're trying to play some quiet ghost notes, 1 inch or less. And you might want to have some stronger hi-hat hits for your hi-hat. So that's going to mean like this height on the hi-hat, little taps on the snare. And can you get that to be perfectly even? So check it out. And that adds up when you combine different techniques. You want to be able to do that as well and not have that flam. It adds up to the ability to get so much texture into your grooves and a lot of precision and control over your weaker hand. So check this out with the groove. Add in some ghost notes like this. See that one? So that's on the of 4, 4, E, 1. So trying to make sure that doesn't flam, like so. That's really precise. So every single hit you do here, and this is going to be another secret for you getting a lot of control with your weaker hand, get as many taps as you can, and vary your stronger hand, your leading hand, with different articulations on the cymbals. So keep this tapping, and try to keep it without flaming as I play different volumes of the hi-hat. Vary it with like this down-up motion. More on that later. Go to the ride. Ride bell. Can I get that left hand really, really quiet? That's left hand precision. In terms of strength and speed, well, you go back to those unisons and you just drill this. Because if you can keep your hands perfectly together, You can get them perfectly apart. That's the real secret. Mistake number 3 that I see most, if not all, beginner and self-taught drummers making is that they are practicing very inefficiently, almost to the point of practicing while making no improvements whatsoever. And we're going to solve that for you. The fix for this is surprisingly simple. I help my students take their practice and make it as efficient as possible so they are accelerating and making progress really fast. And they're not leaving any holes in their drumming that they have to worry about and be embarrassed about 10 years later. You're going to use the 10x practice framework, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. And with that framework of practice, which is the most important thing you could ever learn about how to improve on any instrument, you're going to take that concept and structure your practice with this. And this is the practice planner. So the practice planner, which I'm going to put on screen right now, is a way to organize your practice in a simple way to actually get you making progress, because most people are way too scattered with the way that they practice, and we're going to fix that. So you want to divide your practice time into 3 or 4 areas. If you don't have a lot of time, just the first 3 areas. That's technique, patterns, and coordination. No matter how much time you have to practice, it's 30 minutes a day, 60, 2 hours, I don't care. Divide that time into these 3 areas. So 10 minutes a day of technique, 10 minutes a day of a pattern, and 10 minutes a day of coordination. 10 minutes each, but here's the real key thing. It has to be for each of these one thing and one thing only for each of these 3 areas. So 10 minutes straight, or if you have an hour, that's 20 minutes straight of one single technique. Let's say you're practicing your open-close technique for doubles. Don't go doing that for 2 minutes. Okay, cool. I played this for like 16 bars and it's getting there. And okay, let me go ahead and do, I don't know, my molar strokes. Okay, now I'm going to do that for 2 minutes. That's coming later. Okay, get just this perfect. Only this while doing nothing else. Okay, next area. Patterns. In some ways, this is even more essential. Most drummers are going to be doing this when they play pattern. Okay, I'm working on my paradiddles. Okay, it's a little iffy. You know what? Okay, but I'm going to do it with metronome for a couple minutes. Okay, cool. Now let's do singles. Now let's do doubles. And they're just, it's a mess. So instead, as slowly as you have to do by applying the 10x practice framework, work on just those doubles as your pattern for 10 minutes straight. So open close technique, we're not even counting that as a pattern yet, okay? Sometimes you can play a pattern and a technique at the same time. But I would just do one hand for a whole bunch and just do that for 10 straight minutes until you start to really feel when it's coming together. And then let's say 5 minutes right hand, 5 minutes left hand, okay? Or even better, combine it with one of our previous fixes. And if I'm not even going to bother with pad, but like those unisons, open close. Then you do your 10 minutes, your 20 minutes straight of just the doubles and nothing else. Okay, so before you get to the whole, let's do doubles, singles for a measure, double for a measure, paradiddles for a measure, etc. Before you get to all that stuff, make sure every single one of those patterns you've done so much that you can do them in your sleep before you go to combining them into one exercise. Third area, coordination, was 10 minutes straight of one coordination system. So that could be the system that I gave you earlier of the 16th note rhythm checklist with right, left. And then 1 EN, 2 EN. It could be 10 minutes straight going through the whole list. But if you're making mistakes with one of those rhythmic cells, so let's say you're playing the kick on the E and it's giving you a slight amount of trouble when you go through the whole list. That's your only pattern. 1 E and 2 E, as slow as you have to get it perfect. That could be this or even slower, 2 E, and that's totally fine. This 10 minutes straight is going to transform your playing. And most drummers, we just avoid it. And if you just commit to doing that little bit of work and turn it into a ritual so you have fun with it, then you're going to see your playing skyrocket from this principle. And by the way, I made the practice planner into a PDF for you guys so you can actually log your practice. So I'm going to put that link below for you guys to grab it. Mistake number 4 is something that once you fix it, is going to clean up your drumming dramatically, and you're going to feel so much more in control and articulate with everything you want to say and play on the drums. So this mistake, of course, is skipping the basics, and in particular we're going to talk about skipping the basic stroke types. Okay, so there's a couple of these that you want to not just work on and dabble, but hone until you get them truly down. And I have used different names for these stroke types over the years. I was taught a different set of names, but I do like these names from Gary Chafee. You have the full stroke, you have down, you have the tap stroke. Actually, I'm not positive that this is identical to the versions that he teaches. I read the book, a little bit of the book once, and I learned a couple different names for these. So the full stroke, also known as the free stroke, is a stroke that starts high and comes back up high. The down stroke starts high and ends low. The tap stroke starts low and ends low, and the upstroke starts low and ends high. But you need to know a couple of different nuances, or it's not going to come together for you, and you're going to still feel like your drumming isn't like getting to that next level. So check this out. Full strokes. Try to get them to come up to the same height every single time. So you're very precise with them. The key thing about these full strokes or free strokes is that you are coming down from the maximum height every time, and you aren't lifting up. So this is what you want, but what you don't want is this. So what I'm doing here, trying to avoid doing this. I'm coming up to here, and then I'm lifting up even more. And that means precision goes out the window. So take your other stick, place it behind, and then lift it off like an inch max. And then go down only, and don't hit that stick. Your goal is to have the stick rebound back up to the original point, very close to the measuring stick, let's call it, without hitting it, without clicking like that. Because that means that you're not stopping it. If you're stopping too low, you're either stopping the rebound or not coming down with enough force to get that rebound. You also practice this without rebound, by the way. That's our full stroke, and that's, of course, both hands. So don't skip your weaker hand, remember? Our second stroke type, the downstroke, is one that starts high and ends low. The real secret with the downstroke is it starts just the same as the full stroke, but you don't let the stick carry back up. You want to use as little tension as possible when you're coming down. So you don't want to put a lot of downforce into it. You're just using just barely enough to stop the stick low. And the thing to practice is sometimes when you first start, it's going to bounce up higher like that. And you're going to be, okay, hold on, that's not where I want it. Let's pull it down. And like, what do I need to do tension-wise? And I say tension very cautiously because we do not want tension. And the little tiny amount you use to stop the stick, you stop it, and then you release that little tiny amount of tension. But how little tension do you need? And get that until the stick is very low. And here's the real secret. Come down to this height, let it not bounce, and then wait there, okay? So don't go doing this and like, okay, cool, do another one. Okay, cool, do another one. Because then you're not really paying attention. Do 1, stop it low. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and so on. So the downstrokes, the real secret is space. But the other part of the downstrokes, and I'm going to give you a sequence in a little bit that's going to help you to master all of these. The real secret with the downstrokes is you go down for 1, and then you're going to tap on beat 2, and then rest on 3 and 4. So 1, stop it low. 2 is a tap. 3, 4, and 1. 2 is a tap. 3, you can lift on 4 and 1. 2 is a tap. 3, 4, but don't start doing that until you learn the next 2 because there's some very crucial details in there. So tap strokes should be very self-explanatory. You're starting low and you finish low. Now, the real secret, though, that most people miss is they're here and they play their taps like this. If you play your taps like that, you're missing out on the control and clarity to say what you want to say on the drums. So we want a lot of contrast between our accents, our full strokes and downstrokes, and our tap strokes. So you want to start very low, and just the same as I showed you with the full strokes, do not let the stick come up, okay? Don't lift up before the tap, and then you're ending up like this high off. You want to start real low and just tap. Just come down only, and that's it. So you want to get those taps as quiet as possible. So combined with the down, like so. So far, so good. The upstrokes are a special case. And once we go over these, we're going to go over the full sequence. The upstrokes, you want to use what I call the puppet motion. And it's one motion that gets you to play a tap while you lift your arm up. So the upstroke is a tap. It should sound identical. Should not sound any louder. But you're up here afterwards. It allows you to play quiet and then loud, like that, very quickly with very little effort. You're flopping your hand around. It's a miniaturized molar technique, which is a subject for another video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. What you want to use is what I call the puppet motion. So imagine you're a puppet. There's a string off of your wrist. You're holding that string, and a puppet will just go limp, right? So we want to pull that string and make your hand, your wrist go limp at the same time. Pull that string and just let your hand flop, okay? So do that and just literally practice pulling this imaginary string. Once you've done this a couple of times, see how I'm just very loose with it? Do the same thing while in the tap stroke position. Pull that string as you lift up, you're going to get that one stroke that's a tap, and you're up here in a very efficient, ergonomic, fluid way. So we're not lifting up like this, like away from the drum. We're lifting from the wrist with the puppet motion. And once you do that, play that accent. Okay? So you can combine those and get them fast. Later. That's perfect and effortless. You speed it up. Just like I said with the 10x practice framework. This can be your technique practice when you're using the practice planner. I'll put a link below for you guys if you didn't get that, so don't forget. You can write down upstrokes or up down. So up, down. So the sequence that you want to do if you want to practice all four together, very simple. It's going to be 2 accents, and this is all with one hand, and then no accents, like so. It's going to be full because it goes down and back up. Then it's going to be down because it goes down only. And then it's going to be a tap, which is going to be quiet. Then it's going to be the upstroke, which is going to go down and way up with the puppet motion specifically. So full, down, tap, up. So 2 accents followed by tap, stroke, upstroke. The key thing here is contrast. So the 2 accents should be very strong, and then the tap should be very quiet. And you want to practice having that contrast with everything that you do. You reduce the contrast later for nuance. Like, I will play around the snare drum like all sorts of ways. I will play very quiet, and then my accents are just a little bit higher than those. And different articulations, etc. I love nothing more than playing around with the articulation and really kind of speaking with the snare drum. But the only way that I can get control over that and feel like I'm saying different things by playing with the dynamics and the articulation is because I have control over every single note, that it plays exactly as I intend, whether I'm this height or this height or this height, etc. And all the in-between control strokes, like this height to down, or this height to down, or this height to that height, etc. But you only can do that and have everything you say, like have the clarity you want when you practice this with intention. You know these steps, which leads us to mistake number 5, which I see this one pretty much more than anything else, unless I said that before earlier in the video, but really this is the one. And mistake number 5 is a lack of focused repetition. And that's focused repetition on the right things. You have to put that repetition into your practice in a very special way, or this doesn't work and you don't improve. And that is what I call the 10x practice framework. There's really 3 key components to the practice framework. You want to make sure, first and foremost, that you are practicing the thing you're trying to get perfectly. So no matter what, you're practicing it perfectly. This is the number 1 most essential part of this. So if you have ever heard the advice to practice the things you're bad at, and if you sound good when you practice, then you're not really practicing, throw that advice into the trash, because you need to sound good while you practice. In fact, you should sound perfect while you practice. Well, how on earth are you going to sound perfect with things you can't play? Well, it's very simple. You boil that stuff down until the absolute bare minimum number of notes and slowest tempo possible to get this stuff. The only time you should sound crappy is when you're first trying to figure out a technique and it's not the thing yet. And once you figure that out, you try to play it as perfectly as possible. So if I'm trying to play rim shots during a groove, I'm not going to try to kind of half play them half the time and not really nail them, because then I'm just practicing being inconsistent with my rim shots. Same thing goes with coordination. If I'm playing the patterns from before and half the time I'm flaming like that and I just hammer it out and keep playing kind of iffy with flams, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, and if I focus, it's pretty close, you're never going to fix it. So you want to go as slow as possible every single pattern, even if it takes that. So right there, trying to get just kick drum and left hand, and they're flaming a little bit, if you're just isolating that one note and you sound a little bad, that's okay, because you're just doing that one until you fix it. Okay, I think that's it, which means let me try the sequence and try to recreate that moment, right? So as slow as you have to do to play it perfectly is the key thing. That's step 1 of the 10x practice framework. Step 2 is that you then need to continue to play it like that until it's perfect, but perf, and also effortless. So that's the second key component. What that means is you've practiced it perfectly with a lot of focus for a number of sessions. And after a couple of those sessions, your brain continues to process what you've been practicing until it can do it without you having to consciously focus on it. Just the same that I'm talking to you now and not having to think about every single word and shape that my lips make, or just the same as you pick up a fork and eat with it, or a pair of chopsticks, or a toothbrush. You don't have to think about those things. And your brain couldn't do that at one point. There was a point where you were a little baby and you were a mess when you were trying to eat with a fork. I can promise you that. So the same thing applies here. As your brain makes new neural connections, it continues to reinforce them when you go to sleep. And you're going to wake up the next day, and the thing you were practicing, you can do it more subconsciously with less conscious effort. So you're looking for that state where it's perfect, just like you've been doing for a couple days, but it's perfect, and you don't have to think about it. So this, and I can talk while I'm doing it, that means you're ready for step 3. If you're doing that. Step 3 is to play it faster. If one can still apply, okay? That if is a really, really, really big if. If you're playing it faster, if you've got it perfect, let's say you've got anything perfect. Let's say it's a paradiddle. And it's perfect at this speed. And you're like, okay, I got it. Let me go faster. And it's kind of a little iffy. It's not even, it's kind of wobbly. A lot of drummers, and this is the big pitfall, a lot of drummers will be like, okay, it's a little iffy, but okay, if I focus, like, it'll start to work itself out. No, it won't. Because by making mistakes while you practice, you are reinforcing those mistakes and you're getting really good at being inconsistent with your playing and with your technique and with your timing. So if you got something and you play it faster and it's not perfect, stop doing it. Go back to the tempos that are perfect. Spend more time just repeating that. Turn it into a ritual or a meditation of playing that thing perfectly slowly until you can absolutely do it perfectly in your sleep. You'll magically be able to play faster if you do that enough, and it'll remain perfect. If it's not perfect, 10 BPM faster than your perfect tempo, you haven't practiced the slower tempo enough. So you want to make sure that you're sticking to this 10x practice framework with everything that you sit down and practice on the drum. So when you're using this practice planner, don't forget to grab it. I'll put that link below. All the different exercises I shared with you today, you want to fill out that practice planner with it, but only do one thing at a time. Don't dabble between all the different things I gave you. One thing focused with the repetition, just one thing at a time with these 10x practice principles. It's going to transform your playing more than anything you can imagine. But in order to put these principles into practice, you need to level up the actual way that you approach your coordination and playing the entire drum set. So in order to do that, watch this video where I'm going to teach you how to take all of this to the next level.